The way I described it, it's like playing through a Stephen King novel. That's really what it feels like, and it's incredible. I heard a few people recommend Alan Wake 2 to me, and I decided I had to do a video about it. I bought it, I tried it, I'm really, really liking it. Immediate major selling points. It really does feel, it puts you in the shoes of a detective. You really do feel like you're the detective. People are trying to hide the truth from you, and you are gonna figure it out. Games I've played that it kind of reminds me of. Disco Elysium, maybe even L.A. Noire, if you remember that from way back in the day. There's interrogation scenes. There's autopsy scene. There's just looking around. And so one thing I really like, one thing that really blew me away is the Mind Palace mechanic, which I've never seen in another game. I've really never seen this before. And at first I didn't like it, but then I started to understand it. So how it works is at any point in the game, you can go to your Mind Palace. It's just like if you've ever seen a crime procedural like that where someone has a Mind Palace. It really is actually a memory technique so you think of a place that you can picture very, very well, and then you use the location part of your mind to navigate all of the little details that you remember about something. And you'd have to do your own research and learn how to do that, but it is a real thing. And I've never seen it portrayed so usefully and so interestingly in a game. So at any point, your character can go into her own mind and start working through the details of this case, and it does not pause the game either. And that's created some very, very immersive and some gameplay experiences that I've never had before. So here's an example. If you play a lot of video games, you're used to a map that automatically updates. It'll reorient you. In this game, you cannot pause the game to look at a map. You can check your memories of the maps in your Mind Palace, but that does not pause the game. So what you have to do, if you anticipate, or maybe you don't anticipate, some bad guys are going to be chasing you in the woods, say. You're trying to navigate through the woods, but you're going to get chased by some bad guys, and you're going to have to fight and turn around and shoot at them and maybe run away. If you get yourself disoriented while you're still in danger, that's just sad for you. You cannot pause the game and look at your map. So you have to resolve the issue or escape, or give yourself enough breathing room to go in your Mind Palace and consult your map. Stuff like that. Really, really cool. I'm only in the second chapter, so no spoilers in the comments, please. I had to make a video and just talk about this as soon as possible. Really, really interesting mechanics like that where you're worried. You're like, okay, I'm gonna have to walk through these woods, and I hope that nothing too crazy happens because I'm keeping in my own mind, again, as the detective, I'm keeping details and a plan in my mind, and if I get distracted by, say, bad guys or something unexpected, that's my problem. I played the first Alan Wake at the recommendation of a friend, and I remember it years later because even the first Alan Wake wasn't even that fun. I remember feeling like, I don't think I played it all the way through the end, but it was so memorable. It really works hard to do like new mechanics that you haven't seen before. So another one is that in the same way that ammo is a mechanic in most survival horror, light is a mechanic, and that's, probably been done before, but in very interesting ways. So the bad guys cannot see you while you're in light, and there are stationary light points that you can retreat to, but the bad guys, if they lose track of you, they will knock out the lights, and so it's a temporary reprieve. You have a flashlight with batteries, so it's a resource like anything else, and you actually have to use light and bullets in combat. So that's just another example. That was in the original Alan Wake, was there that first very creative mechanic. This new thing with the Mind Palace, I really, really like. At first, I really didn't get it, but then when I started to get frustrated and be like, oh man, I have to remember, I'm gonna run up to this one landmark, and then I'm gonna cut right, and then I'm gonna cut left after that, and I'm gonna follow that around, and that's the only way I'm gonna get through this next scenario. That's when I started to appreciate, oh, this is really cool, this Mind Palace stuff. And so the map is just one facet of it, but there's all these different areas in your Mind Palace where you can profile, you can do like profiling on people that you talk to. You can piece evidence together in your own way. And it really does make sense. At first I was afraid. I was like, oh, this is going to be tedious. But honestly, I like it better than like Resident Evil puzzles because it does give you more hints. It really, if you sit there quietly and think about certain things, the answer will become obvious in most of these puzzles. And that really gets you in the mood of feeling like a detective, where you're just sitting and you're thinking about everything you've seen, thinking about what you know, thinking about what you remember, and then and going from there. It really does feel organic. If you bought this game and you have only played like the part of the intro, just be patient with it because it introduces these mechanics, and I wasn't really sure at first how they were going to pay off, but they're all used to very, very good effect. Now, one thing that I will warn you about, it's a plus for me, it's a positive for me, but some people might not like it. So it is unlike other detective games like Disco Elysium or L.A. Noire, in that the whole thing kind of takes place in a dark magic realism. It all seems to kind of take place in a parallel world within a writer's fantasy. Again, for me, that's a big selling point. It's very creative, it's very supernatural. The way I described it, it's like playing through a Stephen King novel. That's really what it feels like, and it's incredible. It also pulls very heavily from Twin Peaks. If you watch that show, it really feels like Twin Peaks quite often. And what was the other one? Oh, so again, no spoilers, so I don't know what's gonna happen, but I get very heavy Shutter Island vibes where if you haven't seen Shutter Island, it's pretty old, but where the main character may maybe less sane than they realize, and maybe other people are trying to humor them through things. It's hard to tell. But so it really reminds me of Shutter Island and Twin Peaks and recent Resident Evil games in terms of the gameplay, in terms of how the characters control and how the game engine feels. It feels like a recent Resident Evil game. I am loving this. If you don't like magical storylines, you may be frustrated by how it's a very like granular detective drama, but then a lot of things suddenly become explained by magic. It is a little frustrating sometimes too, because, well, but we'll see. We'll see how the ending wraps it up. Characters who are supposed to be like FBI agents will be like, yes, we were clearly attacked by something metaphysical, by some dark magic. I guess they do call for backup. I don't know. Oh, and the other thing that I really like is, so it's like the whole thing is about writing and storytelling, and like, so it almost has this whole meta subtext of like, we are playing a fictional game, but maybe life is a fictional game, and certainly life for these characters is a fictional game. So it's very meta-referential in that way, and very philosophical about art. So I really like that. Not for everybody, but I am loving it. So that's all, everybody. I just wanted to drop in and say that I am loving Alan Wake 2. And if you are too, leave it in the comments. I'd like to talk more about this game. But I think that this is an example of a series and a major game developer moving in the right direction and doing things better than the first, where each new game is better and better. So that's really cool. That's exciting. And definitely, show this series some love if this seems like your kind of thing. And I will catch everybody in the next one.